Hello, good people. Welcome to another one of our questions and answers live. And today we're also going to talk about a huge aspect of marketing that very few self-employed people pay attention to, and that is about the customer buying journey. Maybe you've heard about this concept, maybe you haven't, but I'm going to have a little bit of fun today, just touching a little bit upon it and why it's important for you, and also how you can immediately get started on getting to know your customer really, really well so that you can give them what they actually want, rather than going out there and trying to create business where there is like zero opportunity, or the people that you're speaking with are just not your ideal clients and have no need for what it is that you have to offer. So thank you for joining. If you have any questions, make sure that you put them in the comment box. This is what today is here for, in addition to some teaching around marketing and specifically the customer buying journey. So again, I hope that you're having a fabulous week. It's in the middle of the week, and I choose Wednesday for the question and answer because it's that hump period in the week where maybe your motivation and determination is sort of taking a dive. Usually what happens is at the very beginning of the week, people are excited. They see all the possibilities ahead of them. And then somewhere in the middle of the week, they just can't wait for the weekend to show up so that they can be done with this. It is a hard journey. If you're out there doing any kind of selling for yourself, you know this, that nothing is guaranteed and that you can put in a lot of effort and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But the one thing that you're required to do is be consistent. And because we're human beings, that can be extremely hard when you don't see the fruits of your labor. Again, we are sort of like engineered for results and success, and we are motivated when we see that what we're doing is working. So what do you do when you're putting in all this effort and you're putting in all this energy and you're just not seeing anything showing up? You know, it can be really hard to stay with it and to keep going. So I also like to touch on the motivation piece, because at the end of the day, I find it to be true that the one thing that stops a lot of business people is themselves. So they're limiting beliefs, but also just understanding the natural processes that happen within us in any kind of journey tends to be helpful because you're able to put everything into perspective. I may have a really itchy face today. The allergies are just like powerful today. And one of the side effects of allergies is I get really itchy. So bear with me. I'm still here, and I think that's what's important. But yeah, if anybody out there is loving the sun but still suffering from it, know that you're not alone and that I'm here with you. So a little bit more about that motivation piece. One of the things that I think we forget as human beings is that all of life is a cycle, and that we too have high moments and low moments any given day, every day. And what this means is that we have natural moments within our lives in which we perform extremely well and moments in which we don't. And usually if you look at a 24-hour cycle, and if you take some time out and watch yourself, you start to know what works really well for you and what doesn't. So for some people, you'll find that they are at their most creative between the hours of midnight and 3 in the morning. And that's how I naturally am. I'm like a nocturnal naturally. At flow when it's at night, the world is asleep, it's just me. That's when my best creative work comes out. Now, the thing is, when in doing the work that I do, I deal with people during regular business hours. And what that means is that I had to start retraining myself so that I could be a morning person. And that took a really long time. And throughout that journey, I sort of forgot that I wasn't naturally a morning person. And so I was very hard on myself for not, waking up, pumped up, ready to face the day early in the morning. I would be grouchy. It didn't matter that I had worked for institutions in which I had to be at work at a certain time. I never got used to it. But over time, I started to learn and appreciate waking up early in the morning and doing my creative work in the morning. And I found a flow there. And I found that my best working times are in the morning when I get up. That's when I have the most energy. And then in the afternoon, that works better for me with low-key energy things such as networking or speaking with others, chatting, that sort of thing. And in the evening, I'm also good for networking or interactions with people, that sort of thing. So I started to create my schedule to accommodate my hours of flow. So if I have any difficult conversations, any task that maybe I wanted to push, because it was just something that I wasn't looking forward to, then I would schedule it for the first thing in the morning, because that's when I would be at my peak. That's when I would be at my highest vibration. That's when I would be at my best. And that's when I would be able to quickly tackle what it is that I needed to do. Before I used to do this, I would push everything that I didn't want to the very end. And I found that I would take a really long time going to those kinds of tasks. So, once upon a time, I did not enjoy making sales calls or having sales conversations. For me, coming from, old thoughts, and it didn't matter that I had been in sales for a really long time, I still had old thoughts around sales, such as pushy sales and spammy, and you don't want to bother people, and you're a pest, and you're heckling. So obviously, I never wanted to pick up the phone, but then learning to make these phone calls early in the morning actually showed me that I enjoyed the phone calls. I enjoyed chatting with people and getting to know more about them, listening to them, offering them my services, and just generally having that conversation start the day. And that throughout the day, that kind of gave me that push because I was conversing with people. And at the end of the day, I think you'll agree that when you speak with other people, no matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert, that you get some kind of energy from it, especially if it's a great conversation. You get some kind of energy for it. So as part of your motivation, I'd like you to really think about when are your highs and lows during the day, and then to sort of plan your business activities around that. Now, if you're not in a position to do that, I want you to still take a look and see what you can do, because there's stuff that you're going to have to do outside of your business, like reports and that kind of thing. You don't want to use up your most precious energy for that kind of stuff. That you can leave for a cooler down period, like maybe in the evenings or the afternoons or the weekends, or if you take a day off in the month where you actually just do the background stuff in your business, like reports or planning, or setting up meetings, that sort of thing. So just something to consider when you're thinking about the motivation piece for yourself is how best can you use your energy every day. And this also goes for exercise, and it goes for meditation or any religious practice that you have. Look at the way you feel any given 24-hour period, and then sort of align your life and your desires around that. If there's something that you want to do on a regular basis, start to see where you're in the best position to do that and then fit that in. I find this works better than just going through a list or just putting things on your calendar, because what we do there doesn't take into consideration how we feel. And if we're honest, 90% of our lives is driven by how we feel about something, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about someone. Feelings are very powerful drivers. So instead of working against them, you want to work with them. And how you do that is by looking at how you feel on a regular basis, and take an average of it, and then plan out your activities to conform to that. And that way you'll find that there's less resistance, that you're not always arguing with yourself to do basic stuff, judging your results. Like, you're more on a friendly term, and it's more of an adventure that you're going through. So let me know if that's helpful for you on the comment box and some of the ways that you're going to start implementing this. So let's talk about the customer buying journey. And again, I do apologize. My allergies today have just decided that, they're just going to rule the planet. So you're going to see a little bit of sniffling and rubbing my nose, and just, it happens. So what is the customer buying journey? I want you to think about, and this is one of the most common examples that's given to explain this concept, but it works. I want you to think about today and having to make supper for your family. And I want you to think about the process that you take to decide what it is that you're going to eat with your family. So some of you will go into the fridge and will look and see whether you have any leftovers or what's actually there and what you can put together. Others will start sending texts to their spouses during the day asking what they feel like eating or making, or if they want to go out, or, what do you feel like for dinner? Others will ask their children when they come home from school or, day camp, whatever the case may be, or playing outside, what the children feel like eating, and then maybe give one or two options. And a decision will be made. So if you were opening the fridge and looking to see what was there, you may decide to get rid of a few leftovers, or you may decide to put something together with ingredients that you have. You may decide to go online and just type in, for a simple recipe that you can use. Or during the day, your spouse may have given you an idea of what you should have for supper, and you said, yes, let's do it. Or your children will say, of the two options that you gave them, they'll pick one and you decide to go for it. Well, that was actually a customer buying journey. Now, what you are buying here is the supper, is the decision, is the choice of what to eat. So we make these decisions on a regular basis all the time. It's just that we don't think about it. But anytime someone is going to buy something, they go through a journey. There's an awareness that there is a need, and then there is a consideration stage, and then there is a purchase stage. And those are the three broad categories. So awareness, in our example for the supper, is when you know you need to eat. Maybe your stomach will growl. Maybe you'll look at the time and realize that, oh my goodness, it's 6 o'clock, I need to eat. Or maybe someone will ask you what are the dinner plans, and then that reminds you or cues you to start thinking about dinner preparations. So that's the awareness stage. Now, if you had a huge lunch, or if you're fasting, or if when you're on a diet, whatever the case may be, and you're not hungry at all, then it doesn't matter that supper time will come and go. It's just not going to enter your head to eat. You're not even going to think about it. And the reason is because you have no need. So the awareness stage is when someone realizes that they have a problem, or when they realize that something's missing or something needs to be fixed. That's the awareness stage. It would be the same as if you are driving home and then the light on your car comes up that says, hey, you're running low on gas. So before that, you may not have been aware. You may have known that you need to fill up on gas at some point in time, but it's not really a critical point. It's not something that comes to mind until you see that indicator that tells you we're getting low on gas. That's the awareness stage. And then consideration is the stage where you're thinking about all your options. So what is it that you can do in terms of supper? Can you use the leftovers? Do you do takeout? Will someone else cook? Do you go visit someone conveniently? What are your decisions around supper? What time? How easy do you want to make it? How much do you feel like going all out on the cooking? Do you have to do dishes? Do you have enough dishes so that you can prepare your meal? What does this involve? Do you have to leave and go to the supermarket to buy a few more products? So that is the consideration stage. Do you have to order in? And when was the last time you did? And how much money? Those are the different parts that come into play when you're making a decision for supper. Unless it's been thought out a while before, and even then, you still went through a consideration stage. In our example of driving the car and you're low on gas, and the indicator lets you know that you need to fuel up, this is where you start to ask yourself whether you're close to the place you normally fill up. You start looking around to see whether the gas prices, whether there are any huge deductions between the different stops. You look at the distance you are away from home. You start asking yourself those kinds of questions where it's, am I stopping at the next place that I come by? Or will this last me till tomorrow? Or Will I take a little drive away from my normal route, but I'm going to save cents on every liter? Like, so those kinds of thoughts. That's the consideration stage. And then purchase is when you actually make a decision and then you go ahead and you procure or you get what it is that you were looking for. So purchase in our example for food would be if you decide, okay, we're doing pizza, and we're ordering in and we're using this coupon that we've had for the last little while, and that's it. That's purchase. For gas, it's when you decide, you know what, we're just going to use the gas station here because it's on my way home. I don't have to think too much about it. I don't care if it's, you know, a couple cents up or down. It's on my way. I can get this out of the way. So when you think about your business and your products and services, your customers take a similar journey to arrive at the decision to buy. So before they buy from you, they go through several stages before they actually get to you, or before you even show up in their awareness space. So, you know, depending on the business that you're doing, and we have a couple of businesses here. So if you want me to use any of yours as an example, go ahead and put that on the comment box. I'll be more than happy to show you how that would work for you. But what you want to do is you want to understand your client, your customer so well that you know what their story is before the awareness stage all the way to the purchase stage. So what I mean by this is that you want to know your customer, what they were doing before they realized that they needed your services. And this is not your services per se, it's just your industry. The services within your industry. So remember, you're not that special yet. They're considering everybody. You're not yet top of mind. So what is it that they were doing? And then the need arose. And then you want to find out what happened as a result of that realization. So how did they go about trying to find a solution? How did they go about trying to make things work? Where did they look for information? Who did they ask? What kind of information did they consider? And then finally the purchase, which is you. You know, what is it about you that made them choose you? So I do have, this is awesome. Hi, Salima. We do have financial here as an example. So I take it financial products and services. Am I correct? So when we say financial, are we thinking investments, savings, that sort of thing? Just give me some clarity there so that I can give you a proper answer. I'll just take a short break here. Allergies, I tell you. And it doesn't matter. It's like every season. If it's like just the change of season, all 4 seasons here in Canada, I'm just hit with them. So I love the weather and all of that good stuff, but they can come with some serious allergies. And it doesn't matter if I take medication or whatever it is that I do, it's like I still sometimes struggle with them. So, okay, we have coaching, managing financial. Okay, so let me just come up with an example from the top of my head. Let's say I'll take the wanting someone to manage their financial portfolio. Sound good? So let's say that our person is called Jane. So Jane was in a situation in which, and this is just a story that I'm making up, but this is just so that you can understand how that customer buying journey works in this situation. So Jane was in a situation in which she had a job, and they took out, you know, however much pay for taxes and all the other statutory obligations, but they also took out some money that they put in investments on behalf of their employees. And she married someone who was also financially astute, and he was able to take care of their financial situation at home, so that all Jane knew was how much she was making at work, her take-home pay, and then she knew that money was going into different places, like for bills, savings, investments, that sort of thing. But she didn't have to know exactly how things were done. That she just knew that they were done. You know, even income tax time, she just knew that she just pushed her records and documents onto someone to take care of that. Unfortunately for Jane, her marriage fell apart. And what this means is that there was that division of assets. There was a lot of learning very quickly, that she had to now be responsible for herself, her children, and for different things in her household. Now, remember before, she used to just have this set amount of money, and all she knew was just to maybe let the husband do the divvying up between the bills, the savings, investments, but she didn't really, all she knew was to go to work and then get a paycheck. So when it came to knowing how to save money, invest it, knowing exactly where money was coming from and exactly where it was spent, that's not something that she did very well. But now she's responsible for children and she has this money and she has to manage it well. In addition to that, she was let go from her company, and while she found another job, that was great. That job did not exactly have that kind of option for employees where they could invest some of their paycheck in ways. So they just got this net pay. And so she had to learn these things very quickly, and it was very overwhelming for her. And she became aware that she needed help. She needed help learning money management, learning how to use her money wisely, and also plan for her future and her children's future, and not be reactive, meaning not spend money because of things that pop up, like a broken car or a trip that suddenly needs to be taken, but learning to invest for the future, plan for it, and actually figure out exactly what she wanted for her life at the moment, but also in retirement. And, while she went and she read a few articles or spoke with some of her friends and relatives, she knew that she needed someone who had this background and who would take care of her, and someone that she would trust. So it just so happened that some of the Facebook posts that she was following was from a financial advisor who also seemed to share the same values with Jane. And these were shown in some of the personal posts that the financial advisor would share in terms of children, pets, lifestyle. Jane felt like she understood this financial advisor. She felt that she felt a kinship toward her, even though she had never met her in her entire life. So when this financial advisor invited people on her social media to come out to a workshop that she was doing on money management, Jane immediately signed up for it. And she went over for about 2 hours and she completely enjoyed what she learned. She got tools that she could use immediately. She learned how to budget. She got some easy to use spreadsheets. But more importantly, she was made to feel that money was not that complicated, that it was numbers. It was understanding the numbers, understanding what they represent, and then acting accordingly. Now, as it so happens, around that time, all these other financial advisors started popping up out of the atmosphere. So it's the same way that, you don't notice any particular kind of car unless you're looking for a car. And if you're looking at a specific brand or color, suddenly all the vehicles just show up as that brand, that color. It's that awareness that takes place where your mind is now looking for more of that kind of information. And this is something that is scientifically true, that the mind will always focus on what you think about the most and try to give you only that. So in this case, Jane, seemed to be running into all these financial advisors. Excuse me. Seemed to be meeting up with all these different people that suddenly were financial advisors, reading articles. So she had a lot of places that she could go to for advice and information, including her own bank. But there was something about the financial advisor that she had been following for a while that made her want to really go with her. So she made an appointment. She spoke with this lady. And what she saw was that the lady was true to form, meaning what she appeared to be like on her marketing channel, social media, and in events and whatnot was true when they met. So she was personable, she was caring, she did know her stuff, and Jane felt very comfortable handing over all her money and her financial the whole portfolio over to this lady so that she could be coached into making better decisions, and also so that she could start to implement some of the plans that she had for herself. That is an example of a customer buying journey from start to finish. Now, this financial advisor, let's take that point of view. If she knows that her people are Jane, and she knows that what they're really looking for is an easy way to understand money management, a non-judgmental way to make plans, to really take hold of their future and to start seeing in real time how what they want can be possible with planning and with discipline and just really doing what needs to be done, then what you do is really focus on speaking to those triggers. You know, the trigger of wanting to be secure, the trigger of not wanting to feel like an idiot, not wanting to be embarrassed, wanting to make the best decisions, wanting to be fiscally responsible. And so in her posts or in her workshops or in any of her marketing material, she will really focus on touching on those trigger points so that the person who is reading her material or watching her will feel understood and will feel that there is a connection. Because honestly, you buy when there is a connection. And that's why it's important for the financial advisor to know exactly who she's attracting and why, so that she knows what it is to target and what to speak to and about. So you'll find that there are other people who, like, you know, maybe a different financial advisor will focus on something else, like focus on the time management aspect of it, how to get, you know, bigger return on investment with little effort, or how to maximize what you already have. Whatever the case may be, you want to really know your customer extremely well so that you can target them with their whatever their precise situation is. Now, something about the triggers, when I say that the triggers that the financial advisor would be wise to pay attention to, we're talking about psychological or emotional triggers. But in marketing, we have triggers, and this is what it is. It's the event that causes something to happen. So it's usually a physical event. So in our example with Jane, she went through a divorce. She was let go. These from her job. These are the things that physically happened that forced her to kind of like take a different trajectory in her journey. If she wasn't let go from her job and if she wasn't divorced, she never ever would have had an opportunity to think of or want or even looked for a financial advisor, because she didn't need to. She was already in situations in which she was comfortable. So a marketing trigger is a situation in which something happens that leads your potential client to start walking your way, if you know what you're doing with your marketing. As an example, with me, I get people who are not fulfilled at what they do for work, and they want to leave a legacy, and they want to leave a legacy through the work that they do. So they want to monetize their passions, or they want to do work that's a little bit more fulfilling for them. They know what money looks like, feels like, they love it, but for them, they want to feel like, yes, I made a difference in someone's world. And so a trigger could be that, you know, their company is shifting. And while they're doing that, the person thinks to themselves, you know what, maybe it's time for me to start thinking of getting out of here. So let me start getting a plan in place, and let me get the help of a business coach so that I can make the right decisions that won't cost me money and time and will more than likely lead me down the road to success. Another thing is when people are out there marketing and going out and then finally they sit down, or maybe their spouse. In a lot of cases, when people come to me, it's, you know, the significant other who has said, you know what, I love you, but this expensive hobby of yours is killing us. You know, it's like money's going out, but it's not really coming in. And what's the thing? What's going on? Do you need help in creating a plan that you can execute? Do you need help with marketing? And usually it's, you know, a crucial point where maybe someone has just added up the costs and they're like, this doesn't make sense. I'd rather just take this money, pay it to someone who's going to show me the way, give me a plan, one that I can execute, than try out all these different things and not get any results. I'm getting depressed. I'm losing sleep. my relationships are getting fraught because of the things that we're fighting about. There must be something better. So trigger. And in knowing your customer, then you know exactly what the trigger you're looking for is. And with this one, you want it to be very specific, which is why it's very important for you to pick a niche, one niche. You can have 2 or 3, that's great, but honestly, just be known for one thing. So pick a niche where you're like, this is what happens, so that my client starts looking for something better. And start working your marketing to address those issues along the way, so that when the people look at them, they can feel that you're speaking with them, that you know them, that you understand them. And also, this will tell you where to put your marketing. So instead of asking me questions like, what social media platform should I use? You will know better than that, because you will say, well, where does Jane find her news? Or where does Jane go for comfort? What does Jane do when she's unhappy? What does she do when she's bored? How does she spend her time? What is leisure for her? How does she spend excess money? What does she do when she's broke? When you know all the answers to these questions, then you're better able to target your marketing exactly where your Jane will be and exactly in the situation she will be, so you're not wasting time and you're going to be getting the results that you want. Nice. So thank you for joining me, and I hope that this has been helpful to you. One of the things that I want to leave you with is a little bit of homework in case you're wondering about how to know about your client's journey and all that, because a lot of people do guesswork and they tell me, you know, oh, my client likes to do this and do that, but the truth is it's fiction. They're just making it up in their head. One thing that I'd like you to do is to send out a survey. Send out a survey to your network or your email list, or if you've already done work with, you know, pick 5 people that you loved to work with and just ask them, hey, can we jump on the phone? I'd like to do some market research. It helps me know my clients better and what to give them. And if you don't have any clients yet, well, pick 5 people that you'd love to work with. And again, ask them if they wouldn't mind doing some market research with you. What I found is that people are extremely helpful, especially if they know what it's about and how long it's going to take them and what's required of them. So, you know, as long as you're not hiding, you're not going to take up someone's time for hours, or you're not going to take down what they say because they're giving you something. If you don't make them feel appreciated, then, you know, it's not going to work for you. But for the most part, market research has always worked for me, because this is where I get to put the spotlight on the other person. I get to have them tell me what things feel like from their point of view. And people love to talk. So give them that opportunity. So that's the one thing that I'll ask you to do over the next few days. And this will allow you to really have a good look at what your people are saying, what they want, and then start tweaking your marketing so that it can evolve to better answer their questions, which results in more leads, but more clients. And that's what you want, is more clients. Okay, so if you have any questions, post them for me. Thank you for watching. Have yourselves a great day or evening.